Letters Sent to Eternity by Hazel Rivera. What do you do when you're a human living within a wolf pack, and your closest friend is destined to become the next alpha? You become part of it, that's what you do. Or at least, you join as much as a human possibly can. Kennedy and Jeremiah have shared a bond since the day they were born. Their mothers, who were inseparable during their college years, passed down their friendship to their children. When a devastating accident takes Kennedy's parents away, she somehow survives, but no relatives are willing to take on the responsibility of a teenager without a substantial inheritance. The person who was closest to her mother steps forward to care for her. From that moment on, Kennedy and Jeremiah have been inseparable. Over the past 2 years, she's immersed herself in the pack's traditions and values, yet she's determined to pursue college and explore life outside the pack's boundaries. Kennedy knows she is human and will never be a wolf's mate. She's prepared to leave the pack behind and live among humans. Her dream is to manage the fitness studio her mother started alongside Jeremiah's mom, a legacy that keeps their parents' memories alive. Everything in her life is meticulously mapped out, much to Jeremiah's quiet frustration. All her college applications are submitted, her dorm and meal plans arranged, and her business courses lined up with the goal of graduating in 3 years. All that remains is to survive her final year of high school. Fortunately, werewolves consider senior year the perfect time to focus on the future, so many classes are designed to help her accelerate her success. Her future is set. Jeremiah is preparing to train and eventually lead his pack. This senior year is their last moment of freedom before their lives follow the paths laid out for them. She knows their friendship will endure, just like their mother's did. Not a day passes without them talking, their connection is so deeply ingrained it feels like a part of her. Losing touch is simply not an option. They aren't mates, despite the hopes of many who assume their closeness must mean more. At 18, their relationship mirrors that of siblings, close, familiar, and sometimes eerily in sync. Something about them defies explanation. Kennedy can't mind link or shift into a wolf, yet she moves with wolf-like grace, thinks with their instincts, and senses the world as they do. Many expect she'll exhaust her desire for a human life and eventually return to the pack for good. Until fate throws Kennedy another unexpected challenge, forcing her to make decisions she never imagined. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be copied, shared, or transmitted by any means, whether photocopying, recording, or electronic methods, without prior written consent from the publisher, except as allowed by U.S. copyright law. For permissions, contact Miss L. Rights. This story, including all names, characters, and events, is entirely fictional. Any resemblance to real people, places, or things, living or dead, is purely coincidental. The sharp screech of tires tearing through the night air shattered the silence. A sudden, heavy impact followed, accompanied by the shattering of glass exploding outward. I was hurled forward by an unseen force, my arms flailing helplessly as I grasped at nothing but empty air. Then, my body collided with something solid, and the jolt sent a sharp pain through me. I gasped, blinking rapidly as my eyes adjusted. I was back in my room, always my room. Yet, despite the familiar surroundings, the acrid scent of burnt rubber and gasoline still lingered, stinging my nostrils. This nightmare clung to me relentlessly, replaying the same harrowing scene every single night for 2 long years. I inhaled deeply, hoping to dispel both the lingering smell and the haunting images that pressed behind my eyelids. Suddenly, my door flew open, and my best friend burst inside like a whirlwind. At this point, I half joked that maybe we should just share a room, given how much time he spent here with me. Without uttering a word, he slipped under the soft, downy blanket and wrapped his arms around me, gently pressing my head against his chest. The steady thump of his heartbeat and his familiar scent were enough to lull me back into a peaceful, dreamless sleep. Since the crash, the same nightmare haunted me every night. I was lost, unsure of what I was supposed to do next. Aunt Beth had sent me to countless doctors, specialists, and therapists, but nothing seemed to ease the torment, except being near Jeremiah. Still, this constant fear was wreaking havoc on my already chaotic life. I certainly didn't need any more complications, and I knew it wasn't exactly easy for him either. "Ah, sweetheart, you look exhausted. Another rough night?" Aunt Beth's voice floated through the house, as if she could hear my silent screams from across the hall. I couldn't bring myself to snap at her. After all, she and Uncle James had done so much for me over the past few years. They hadn't been obligated to take me in, but when no other family member stepped forward to claim guardianship of a 15-year-old orphan, my mom's best friend and her husband welcomed me without hesitation. Aunt Beth was the one who stayed by my side in the hospital as I recovered, the one who held me when the doctors delivered the devastating news that my parents hadn't survived. She made sure I saw the best doctors and specialists to help me navigate the overwhelming grief. "Yeah, they seem to be getting worse, but I honestly don't know why," I muttered, sinking down onto a stool at her enormous kitchen island. She placed a plate piled high with all my favorite breakfast foods in front of me, and I smiled gratefully before digging in. "Ready yet?" came the familiar teasing drawl from somewhere in the house about 10 minutes later. I couldn't imagine life without him. Almost. "Aunt Beth's trying to stuff me full of food, and I can't be rude by leaving anything behind," I replied, shoveling a forkful into my mouth. "Mom, you know she doesn't need to eat as much as I do, right?" "I'm going to have to roll her to school," he called out, striding toward the fridge as if he wasn't about to grab a plate just as loaded as mine. "Did you just call me fat?" I swung at him playfully from my seat, but he was too quick, and I missed. "Let me remind you, sir, I train just as hard as you do. My body just isn't built to be chiseled like a Greek god." "So, what you're saying is that I'm hot, and we should go out sometime?" He leaned casually against the kitchen doorframe, slinging his backpack over one shoulder while stuffing food into his mouth. I couldn't deny that Jeremiah was undeniably attractive, one of the best-looking guys I'd ever seen, and there were plenty of handsome men around here. It must be a genetic perk of being werewolves. His chocolate-brown hair was tousled perfectly, as if he'd run his fingers through it but didn't bother to fix it afterward. His light caramel eyes were captivating, almost distracting you from his full lips. Towering over 6 feet tall, his presence screamed either "I'll protect you" or "Don't mess with me," depending on who was on the receiving end. But I'd never say any of that aloud, his ego didn't need the boost. Besides, I'd never felt that kind of attraction toward him. He was like a brother to me, and that was enough. "Are you serious? One of your Luna wannabes would slit my throat in my sleep. And now that you're 18, they're even worse," I grimaced, pretending to gag. "Still getting grief from those girls?" Aunt Beth asked gently. "It's fine, Aunt Beth. They'd give me a hard time even if we were destined mates," I said, rolling my eyes. "They don't like me because I'm human and beneath them, but somehow I've caught the attention of their fearless future alpha. At least no one's tried to hit me with anything lately. It's just a bunch of stupid girls with stupid insults." I pushed Jeremiah's bulky frame out the door so we could head to our first day of senior year. What I didn't tell her was that the insults had grown worse recently. Apparently, being an orphan and a human in a werewolf pack wasn't enough. Now, I was labeled a slut who slept around with all of Jeremiah's friends behind his back, even though we'd never dated and never would. We'd known each other since birth, literally born on the same day in the same hospital. Our moms had been best friends since college, graduating together and opening a studio that taught yoga and women's self-defense. When Aunt Beth met Uncle James and became the Luna of the pack, a role demanding endless time and dedication, my mom took over the studio. Aunt Beth kept it running for me, and I worked there a few days a week, helping train and learning the business side from the manager so I could someday take over. It was the one thing my mom left me that I felt truly connected to, a legacy I was determined to preserve, no matter what path I chose. "You still planning on leaving for college next year?" Jeremiah asked from the driver's seat of his sleek matte black muscle car, the engine growling beneath us. We'd had this conversation countless times over the past year, and I was running out of new things to say. "Yes, Ja. I have to go. You're about to start serious alpha training, and I'm human, no mate in sight." "It wasn't you, and I don't know who else could ever compare," I said dramatically, placing the back of my hand on my forehead. Right now, I don't have any other useful role in the pack. You know how weird that was, right? Everyone waiting to see if we were mates. Don't get me wrong, you're amazing and beautiful, but you're my twin sister, he said, shuddering theatrically. I just laughed. You're such a weirdo. But are you ready for this year? There's a lot of pressure now. Everything's starting to feel real. Ready as I'll ever be, I guess, he shrugged. We've already got trips planned to visit other pack alphas so I can start building alliances. At least I'm not the only new alpha, there are 2 more in our alliance. That way, I'm not the odd one out, treated like a dumb kid all alone. I laughed, but I understood. Visiting alphas could be patronizing to younger wolves. It was a hierarchy thing, but some of them, and some pack members, acted like their species, rank, and status automatically made them better, allowing them to say and do whatever they pleased without consequence. We pulled into the school parking lot, just sliding into his usual spot, where, of course, the usual group of girls awaited him. Oh. Your fan club's here to make sure you don't break a nail on your way to class, I teased in a sing-song voice. Shut up, he growled, taking a deep breath before stepping out. These girls were relentless in their pursuit of him. Many were 18 like us and knew for a fact he wasn't their mate, but that didn't stop them from chasing after him like he was available. He wasn't a saint by any means, none of his crew were. They were, in fact, notorious womanizers. According to Tommy, it was practice for being good mates someday. But since our birthday, when J came of age and could sense his mate, I hadn't seen him with another girl. I didn't think his wolf would allow it. They were all in for their mate and only their mate. Too bad none of the girls in the bitch brigade got that memo. His disinterest only fueled more rumors about him slumming with me, but I shut those down quickly by reminding them that if that were true, it meant he chose me, not them. They changed tactics fast after that. We both stepped out of the car, and I had to push through the crowd of girls surrounding him just to get by. But he never left me hanging, no matter how vicious some of these girls could be. I appreciated that he didn't coddle me or fight my battles for me. He knew that would only make things worse. I was capable of standing up for myself, and I had the attitude to match. He just made sure no one blocked my way or held me back from class. Kennedy, let's go, girl. The guys are waiting, he said, wrapping his arm around my neck and leading me away. What am I going to do without you here to cock-block for me? See, you can't leave for college. I need you here. First, that's your mate's job, so chop chop, find her already so I can pass the torch. Second, you know why I want to go. I can't be a burden anymore. I want to honor my parents and Aunt Beth and Uncle James. I need to support myself. I can't rely on you guys forever. That's a lie, and you know it. You better rely on me forever. I fully plan to rely on you, warrior, he said, trying to look serious, but his handsome face betrayed the effort. And you know Mom's never letting you go. She's plotting just as hard as I am to keep you here. Before I could answer, the rest of the guys arrived, looking like a Magic Mike runway show before the clothes came off. Not gonna lie, I might have drooled a little, but what do you expect when all your friends are ridiculously hot? Too bad none of them were my type, and I wasn't their mate. I'd tested the waters with all of them, except Jeremiah. It was an unspoken rule that none of us ever brought it up. Ben was our dark-haired, tattooed, brooding beta. Tommy was the fun-loving delta, and Jason was our blonde surfer boy gamma. All tall and broad like Ja, with muscles that seemed crammed into shirts a size too small. I always wondered if that was intentional or just laziness. They greeted each other with bro hugs as we met up, each one giving me a hug and a kiss on the head or cheek. It was all very public and very deliberate, especially after last year. The afternoon sun cast a warm, golden glow over the school courtyard as we gathered, the familiar hum of chatter and footsteps filling the air. Hey Kennedy. Looking good, girl. You just keep getting hotter every time I see you, Tommy called out with a grin that stretched from ear to ear. I rolled my eyes, a smirk tugging at the corner of my mouth. Tommy, you saw me yesterday, at training, when I totally kicked your ass. Well, not exactly kicked his ass, but I definitely held my own and gave him a run for his money. Tommy closed his eyes briefly, a playful smile spreading across his face. That's getting better every time too. We all burst into laughter, the easy camaraderie between us making the tension of the day melt away. You are seriously so stupid, I teased, nudging him lightly. Does that line actually work on any girls? He winked, placing a hand dramatically over his heart. I save my best lines for you, until I find my mate, of course. Then I won't need any lines. She'll love me no matter what. I made a mock gagging face at Jason, who just chuckled beside me. You're lucky the moon goddess is going to make someone stick with you forever, Ben said with a dry laugh. Otherwise, I don't know if anyone would put up with you that long. And hiding from trackers, even Jeremiah, who has some of the strongest alpha blood, can be fooled. So, what's this meeting about, exactly? All the alliances are solid, right? Tommy asked Jeremiah as they circled each other in the sparring ring after school. Jeremiah dodged a flurry of punches but didn't respond immediately. He tends to talk with his hands while fighting, which left him open to a leg sweep that sent him sprawling. He rolled away before Tommy could land another kick, then pushed Tommy's foot aside and stood to counterattack. I think it's more about getting me and the other future alphas ready to take over. Meeting the other alphas, building relationships, that sort of thing. I've known most of these guys my whole life, so it's mostly a formality, Jeremiah explained. Before the sparring got too intense, Jason stepped in, tapping Tommy on the shoulder to switch partners. We rotated often to build stamina. I went first, landing a solid right hook, but was soon taken down by a punch to the ribs. I might have heard a few cracks, but I wasn't about to admit it. The last time they thought they hurt me, no one dared challenge me for a whole month. I've been working with our main healer at the clinic, learning ways to recover faster and avoid getting sick. Werewolves don't suffer from illness or disease like humans do, and they heal from broken bones in days and scrapes within hours. My human body takes longer, but the herbs and teas from our healer help speed things up and ease the pain. When do you leave? Jason asked as they circled, their movements fluid and practiced. Jason's sandy blonde hair fell into his dark eyes, a calm contrast to Ben's military precision and Tommy's wild energy. Then, I've trained with the guys as a future warrior and taken self-defense classes at my mom's studio. While I can't shift into a massive beast like they can, I still spar with them, even when they're in wolf form. It's made me quicker, more aware. The guys might go easy on me, but the jealous girls certainly don't. Steady but failing. You know there have been rogue attacks along the southern borders. They haven't come close to us yet, but now that I'm transitioning to alpha, we're vulnerable. You'll be a target for several reasons. The other new alphas have noticed the same thing. It's just a precaution, I promise. What reasons exactly? I pressed. His protectiveness had been growing lately, and I didn't like being kept in the dark. Something was going on, and I needed to understand. You know why, Ken. Come on. He pleaded, sensing where this was headed. But he couldn't focus on me for long. Jason was still grappling with him, and they all used me as a distraction. Nope. I'm going to need you to spell it out, I said firmly. He sighed, glancing at the others as if expecting them to rescue him. They knew better than to jump into this argument, but they weren't backing down either. Fine. It can't happen again. I just can't handle it. None of us can. He gestured toward the guys. What, Jeremiah, I emphasized his name, can't happen again? You can't get taken again, he growled, teeth clenched. Nothing happened last time, I shot back, voice rising. They had me for 2 days. You have to get past this. Bullshit. You were targeted because of me. That can't happen again. I shifted tactics. Who had to rescue me then, I fought to keep calm, though inside I was boiling. I understood his feelings, but I refused to tolerate his irrational reactions. He took a deep breath and paused his fight with Jason. You got yourself away, okay? We all know that. But the point is, you're human, and you were left unguarded. His voice was low, almost a growl. The hell? I'm a warrior in this pack. Anyone in my position could have been taken. Or am I not good enough to hold that title anymore? You know you are, he admitted with a grunt. I can't lose you. People know you're important to me, and they'll target you because you're human. Ben, Jason, and Tommy are important to you. Are you going to assign babysitters for them too? What? No, of course not. That's their job. He stammered, realizing he was losing the argument. Just what? Guys? Werewolves? I shrugged. I know you worry, but I'm not stupid enough to run into danger. So stop treating me like fragile glass. And what about your Luna? Are you going to lock her up when you find her? I want to be around to see that fight. But you are fragile, Ken, he interrupted, stepping in front of me. His hands gripped my shoulders firmly, pulling me into a controlled embrace that pinned my arms at my sides. You're more fragile than we are. One of the new alphas was moving his mate to his pack, and her vehicle was attacked en route. She's okay, but many were hurt, and she was held for ransom. She fought hard, Ken, harder than anyone, and was still captured. I couldn't argue with that. Werewolves are physically stronger and more resilient, scientifically proven. And a Luna is the heart of her pack, the source of an alpha's strength and vulnerability. But he kept forgetting, I'm not his Luna. I'll be fine, I muttered, not fully convinced myself. Oh yeah? How are the ribs? What? Don't try to lie. I felt them crack. I don't think they're broken, since you're still yelling at me, but that's my point. You're my sister, very important, and very much in need of the healer. He squeezed my side, and I winced. Let's go. No. I'll be fine in a couple of days. Healer Gwen gave me something to speed up healing. I'll be good as new by the time you get back, ready to beat your ass. We go now, or I mind link Mom. I gasped. Low blow, ja. Come on, Ken. Let's get you checked out. Then he can buy us all something to eat, guaranteed to make you feel better. Tommy chimed in, already packed up and ready to go. We'd been sparring longer than I realized. Ben handed me my bag. Well, I guess we were going. I followed them out to Jeremiah's car, knowing if I stalled too long, someone would just pick me up and toss me in like a toy. At the clinic, the healer confirmed 2 small fractures. The guys swore to keep it a secret. Aunt Beth got way too protective whenever I was hurt, worse than Jeremiah. Considering the bruises and scrapes I usually had, it was a wonder she let me train with the pack at all. But I think she knew I'd find a way, and the guys, and probably Uncle James, would back the chaos. I'd been taking classes with my mom my whole life, so I wasn't accident-prone or weak, just human. I just played hard, like I was part wolf myself. Back at the pack house, Aunt Beth had pizzas lined up for us. Even though Tommy made us stop for burgers on the way back from the healer, the guys dove into the food eagerly. Aunt Beth came over while Uncle James and Delta Drake carried bags outside. We'll be back in a couple of days, hon, she said, hugging me tightly, worry clear in her eyes. Seriously, I'll be fine. Besides, I've got the boy band to keep me company. I nodded toward Tommy, Ben, and Jason, who were sitting at the island working on a pizza. You better go, so I can get over there. You know they won't leave me any. I hugged her again before heading to the island, where I had to swat Tommy's hand away from the last slice of cheese pizza. He just giggled like a kid. Suddenly, strong arms wrapped around me from behind, squeezing me tight. Love you, Ken. I left a shirt in your room. Just in case, he whispered in my ear. Thanks. Love you too. I leaned back into him, squeezing his massive arm with my hand. And then he was gone. Gone. So, the cat's away. What are the mice going to do now? Tommy teased with a sly grin. This particular mouse has homework to finish, and the beta gave me something to test over the weekend, so it looks like we're playing hide and seek, I replied, watching their faces shift from amusement to surprise. Their shocked expressions made it clear I'd have to fight hard for my freedom. Not a smart move, Ken. You heard Jeremiah, he'll lose it if he finds out we let you roam the woods alone, Ben quickly interjected, trying to shut down the idea before it even took root. Hey, it was your dad's idea. Come on, Ben, please? I pleaded. No way, he said firmly. Jason, back me up here. It was an assignment from the beta, you can ask him yourself, I said, hoping for an ally. Found information suggesting humans couldn't handle the pack connection, and attempting it might kill me. So naturally, Aunt Beth shut down any conversation about it immediately. Something had come up, and the elders had to stay an extra day. Aunt Beth was unusually vague, which wasn't like her, but maybe there were people around, and the details weren't common knowledge. I missed Jeremiah terribly, and the nightmares were growing worse. Everyone knew about them, but it was one of those things we never talked about. Ben stayed with me that night after we got the call. He didn't wait for me to have a nightmare, he simply followed me into my room, wordless, climbed into bed behind me, and held me as I clung to Jer's shirt, inhaling the faint scent that had been fading over the last 2 days. The nightmares hit harder when I didn't expect J to be gone. None of us fully understand the connection between us, it's like we're twins at times, able to feel each other's emotions and communicate without words or mind link. It's just an innate bond. Panic rising. Alpha said come to the pack house now, and bring you. The rest of the guys are already there. We sped off in his car toward the pack house. Jason wasn't usually the panicky type, so this was serious. Jason, what's going on? Is everyone okay? My mind raced, imagining the worst, something happening to Aunt Beth, Jeremiah, or Uncle James. Jason, please, talk to me. I'm freaking out here. He finally looked at me. What happened? I was on the verge of tears, not knowing what to expect. Oh shit. Sorry, Ken, I didn't think. No, everyone's okay, I guess. I wasn't told anyone was hurt, and he usually leads with that. Alpha James said they have news and we need to get there quickly. That's it, I swear. I stared out the window, trying to hold back tears until I knew what was going on. The 10-minute drive felt endless, my heart pounding wildly. I kept telling myself, I just have to see them, then everything will be okay. As we pulled up, I spotted all the familiar cars in the driveway, and an unfamiliar sleek white SUV. I jumped out of Jason's car before it even stopped and rushed through the front door, not bothering to close it behind me. I was worked up and needed to see my brother before losing my mind. I pushed through the house, heading straight toward the voices in the common room. Then I saw him, and my eyes locked on no one else. Ja, I whispered, and he turned toward me with the biggest smile, looking genuinely happy to see me. Without thinking, I ran to him and leapt into his arms, wrapping my legs around his waist, grabbing both our backpacks. What the hell? Mr. Jones, sorry to interrupt. Alpha needs us. It's urgent. Jason nodded toward me, not breaking eye contact with the teacher, me without a word, turning away. I landed hard on my butt, stunned, he'd never dropped me before, not outside training. Who the fuck is that? Snarled a female voice I didn't recognize. I couldn't see her behind Jeremiah's broad frame, everyone else had moved to stand beside him. What's going on? I asked, addressing the backs turned to me. Summoning enough strength, I got to my feet, but everyone ignored me. My heart rate spiked again, something was seriously wrong. I will not ask again, Jeremiah. Her voice was sharp and commanding. I could feel her power radiating from where she stood. She was using her aura, meaning she held a high rank. It's nothing, really. This is my best friend, Kennedy. Kennedy, this is my mate, Raina. Jeremiah finally faced me, but his gaze seemed distant, flicking between her and me. I could tell he was already smitten, completely infatuated with her, and my heart sank. His smile wasn't for me, it was for her. Reina's emerald green eyes shot daggers at me. She was flawless, literally perfect. Her face was angular and symmetrical, almost fairy-like. Tall and lean with generous curves in all the right places, her raven black hair cascaded in loose waves down to her mid-back. Her olive skin glowed beneath the soft pink tracksuit she wore, which made her look athletic rather than lazy or casual. She was stunning, and looked incredible standing beside my best friend. I chose to ignore the insult of being dropped and ignored, focusing instead on my friend's excitement. "Your mate? No way. That's amazing," I exclaimed, reaching out to hug him again. Reina growled at me once more, and it took every ounce of willpower not to pull back my hands and embrace him. Instead, I clenched my fists at my sides and looked around awkwardly. The room had fallen silent, all eyes on us. I wanted to be happy for my friend, but this was not at all what I'd expected. I didn't know what I thought would happen, but it certainly wasn't this. Tommy broke the tension with a polite introduction. "Hello, Reina. Nice to meet you. I'll be your Delta. This is Jason, your future Gamma, and Ben, your future Beta. Kennedy is one of our warriors too." He pointed me out, and I wished he hadn't. Reina had been calming down, but the tension snapped back the moment he said my name. "I'm just gonna go." "Reina, it was nice to meet you," I said quickly, turning to leave despite their protests. I had no idea where I was going, but I couldn't stay. I lived here, and she was going to stay here, eventually live here, and she clearly didn't like that I was friends with Jeremiah. Did she even know about me? Or was he trying to hide me? Was he ashamed of his human friend now that he had his mate? I had never felt so unwelcome in the pack house before. The foreign feeling settled uneasily in my stomach, making me feel sick. I didn't know what this would mean for us. I'd never once considered what would happen if his mate didn't want me around. I'd assumed she'd fit into our group, not replace me. It felt like my heart was breaking, just like when I lost my parents, and I needed to catch my breath and then hit something hard. I wandered aimlessly for a moment, but now I had a purpose. I needed to get to the training grounds and work out my frustration and confusion on some weights and a punching bag. I could feel Ben and Jason following me, which meant Tommy wasn't far behind. They were here to babysit me, to make sure I didn't do anything that would upset Jeremiah. That thought made me angrier. I knew he was the future alpha, but why was it always about what he wanted and needed from me? Why couldn't anyone consider what I needed? I changed into some spare clothes from my locker and wrapped my hands before hitting the bags, letting every insecure thought fuel my fire. The three guys waited outside the changing room. Tommy opened his mouth to say something, but I raised my hand and shook my head. I didn't want to hear it, not now. No excuses, no soothing words. I wasn't ready for anything rational. I just needed to beat the hell out of something. Stepping into the gym, I flick on the lights and, at least in theory, decide to warm up before diving into anything intense. I crank up some aggressive rock music, grab my speed rope, and begin jumping, trying to get my blood pumping and muscles loose. But despite the physical effort, my mind spirals with relentless negative thoughts. Words like weak, orphan, alone, replaced, unwanted echo over and over in my head, each jump of the rope marking another painful reminder. After a good sweat breaks out, I shift my focus to the heavy bag. I double-check my wrapped hands, then move through the usual punching routine to warm up. Soon, I'm pounding the bag with everything I have, punches, kicks, full-body movements, until my limbs go numb and I can't push myself any further. I collapse against the bag, pressing my forehead into its worn surface, breathing heavily. Unlike my werewolf friends, my human body doesn't have the stamina to keep up. Frustration bubbles up again, and my inner voice sneers, "Not enough." Ben approaches, dressed in his own workout clothes, and hands me a water bottle. "Did you get it all out?" he asks. I hadn't noticed he stayed behind. He's sweaty too, so at least I didn't ruin his workout by needing him to watch over me. "For now," I reply, but only because my arms feel like lead. I roll my eyes at him. "You've been at it for 3 hours. I'd hope you're feeling something by now." Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen you move like this. You're getting stronger, faster. You just ran off, left your phone and everything here. Jeremiah rises from his seat at the kitchen island, moving toward me. Is he angry? Why does he look so upset? He has no right to be mad for me putting distance between us to calm things down. I ignore him and head to the fridge, grabbing a bottle of water. I open it and take a long drink before turning to answer. She's here with him, I can smell her perfume. I won't start any fight in front of her. I won't give her another reason to tell him to stay away from me. I was training, with an entourage of sentinels. Didn't you think to check with any of the guys? They could have told you where we were. Or, let's be honest, you're my best friend, you should have guessed where I'd go to blow off steam. My irritation bleeds into my words. They all blocked me. I thought something might have happened. He rubs his hands over his face, then looks back at me. I stare at him like he's lost his mind. Something did happen, and he completely iced me out. You know them better than that. If something was really wrong, they'd have linked you. And if you really thought something happened, just sitting around waiting wasn't the best move, Alpha. You left them on babysitting duty before you left, and they think since your brain's 100% elsewhere, that job isn't done. Luna. Her growl should stop me cold, but instead, it just pulls me back to reality, like someone clearing their throat. I tuck that thought away in the figure it out tomorrow folder in my mind and nod into his chest, taking a deep breath of his familiar scent before pulling back. I place my hands on his firm chest and look him in the eyes. Jeremiah. Let me go. I say it firmly, but not cruelly. He needs to accept this. She's claimed him now. I'm not wanted here, I'm trespassing. I may not be a werewolf, but I understand territory. Never. His arms tighten around my waist, making this harder than it needs to be. I clench my jaw, fighting back the tears. She won't see me cry anymore. Well, it's not just your decision anymore. You're a package deal now. You need to check with your other half before making promises. I tap his chest twice, trying to lighten the mood with a smile. Another growl, followed by a huff. Maybe she agrees with me, but I've only heard her say 5 words total, so I'm not sure. I push off him, and this time he lets me step away. I'll see you tomorrow at school, I guess. Unless that's not a thing anymore. I don't really know how this works. I guess I'll just see you around. I rub my hand over my forehead, rambling without knowing why. We've never been awkward before, but that's all this is at the moment. I head into the common room to grab my bag, left where I dropped it earlier. My phone lies on the floor nearby, tossed carelessly. Usually would have smoothed the introduction. Maybe that was why things felt so tense. Following the sounds echoing from the common room, I didn't even think to announce myself before stepping inside. A moan, a grunt, then a sharp female scream shattered the quiet. What the hell? Oh, *T. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I shielded my eyes, embarrassed. I was just looking for Aunt Beth before I left. I hurried backward, eager to escape. Ken, wait. Come back. I heard frantic rustling of clothing behind me and quickened my pace. Nope, not happening. Keep going, I'll find her myself. Sorry for the interruption. I pushed down the sting of tears and moved swiftly down the hallway toward the front door. It was clear now, it had taken less than an hour for Jit to be so distracted that I might as well be invisible. Important was a word no one could honestly use to describe how he felt about me anymore. Ken, stop. His voice was right behind me, firm and fast. I spun to find him blocking my path. I slammed my eyes shut, dreading what might happen next. I wasn't about to have his maid attack me for accidentally seeing him naked. Where are you going? Why do you have a bag packed? And why are you looking for Mom? Suddenly, he sounded worried. I mentally rolled my eyes. I was going to tell her I'm leaving. Are you dressed? I prefer my eyes where they belong, in my face. I don't need them gouged out. I squeezed my eyes tighter, ignoring the rest of his questions. He chuckled softly. Yeah, I'm dressed. Now look at me and tell me where you're going. What's really going on? But I also couldn't let her hurt me. Her claws scraped everywhere, and her legs kicked wildly beneath me. She growled and snarled, struggling to form words. You be *tch. You can't have him, she yelled, swiping at my face. Blood trickled down my cheek. She thought I was just some random girl trying to steal her man. Even after all the time Ja had spent with her since she found out about me, he never bothered to explain who I was. Jackass. Now I understood her frustration. I'd feel the same way. I fought to get a few words out, trying to calm her while defending myself. I don't *king want him, you crazy ass. He's like a brother to me. I grunted as she landed a solid punch to my stomach. But you'd know that if you two talked as much as you *ck. Now stop trying to gouge my eyes out. That finally made her hesitate long enough for me to thrust my hips and flip her onto her back. I pinned her wrists above her head, straddling her chest, leaning in so close our noses almost touched. We both panted heavily, but she slowly stopped struggling. Maybe she realized I wasn't trying to hurt her, or maybe my words were finally sinking in. Whatever it was working. Stop trying to kill me. He's like a brother. I repeated, breath ragged, now holding her attention. He should have told you about me. Honestly, a heads up about you would have been nice, too. But sometimes these boys aren't the brightest. I rolled my eyes and glanced up at Ja, who was still staring at us. That's when I noticed the entire room was watching. Oh goddess. That is so *king hot. How did you get so lucky? Tommy slapped Ja on the back and bit his lower lip. Such a perv. So all four of you assholes just stood there and let us fight? You didn't care that your best friend and your future Luna were hurting each other? Strong, but her movements were clumsy, like she didn't train much. Ben and Jason rolled their eyes, and then Ben stepped forward. You two get it out of your system? He held out his hand to me. Maybe. I raised an eyebrow at Reina, slowly releasing her arms and sitting back, still straddling her waist, waiting for a cheap shot that never came. I took Ben's hand, and Jason helped Reina to her feet. I straightened my clothes and ran my fingers through my hair, avoiding eye contact. I'm ready, Ben. Let's go. They needed to talk and figure out if this was something Reina could handle. I didn't want to walk away, but an alpha needed his Luna. In this case, she was more important. My friendship with Jeremiah was now entirely in her hands. If she said no, then that was it, for now, at least. I headed toward the front door, jaw set firmly. I wouldn't cry again. I'd said my piece and could only hope she believed me. It was up to Jeremiah now to explain and fix things if he wanted me in his life. He had to make her see what we were, and convince her it wasn't romantic. Wait, don't go. Her voice was soft but resolute, and suddenly I wasn't sure I could do this. I shook my head and kept moving. Please, we should talk. I kept my gaze locked on the door. I really do need to try and sleep, that's not a line. Don't make this harder for me. Nothing is more important for the pack's future. I'm not going to get in the way out of selfishness. So yes, I was going to leave, because you don't want me near him. You don't want me here. I rubbed my face and sat on the bed, patting the space beside me. I've never once run at my brother like that. I'm usually more likely to throw something at him. That broke the tension, and I let out a strangled laugh. But how close are you and your brother? I mean, in age? 6 years apart. He's 26, I'm 20. I nodded. Jet and I are the same age, literally. We were born on the same day in the same hospital. That's how close our moms were. My mom was visiting when they both went into labor at the same time. We're basically like twins, raised that way. She nodded thoughtfully. That explains some things. Not why he sleeps in your room, but we'll get there. What about the other guys? What about them? I tried to steady my breathing now that she wasn't growling at me. My head throbbed from all the crying. Oh, come on. You didn't leave all those hot guys alone. No mate yet? And they're all so protective of you. Anyone can see you're close with all of them. What do you mean no mate yet? I'm human. Do you know the odds of me being mated? I can't even be inducted into the pack because the elders think it would kill me. Being marked would probably be just as bad. Tommy's always the charmer. The others laughed along. When we reached my room, I dropped my bag by the desk and took a deep breath before turning around. I reached to take my duffel from her and set it next to my school bag. Were you really just going to leave? No fight at all? She looked shocked. He's my brother, not my boyfriend. I was growing tired of repeating it. There's never been anything like that between us. It's written all over your face. She giggled, sounding like a little girl. But you dodged my other question, that means you've given the other guys a test drive. She winked, and I glanced toward the door, sure someone was eavesdropping. Test drive is a strong phrase. I tried to dodge the question. Oh, give it up. I want to know these guys. I'll get some of that in my own time here, but I want to see what kind of team the goddess put around my alpha. How they treat a woman says a lot about who they are. She giggled again. My alpha. She'd already made the mental switch. They're all great, but I might be biased. I shrugged and smiled faintly. So, which one are you dating right now? I feel like each of them would bring something different. Who was your first? My eyes suddenly widened in surprise. First what? I asked, still trying to dodge the question. I was certain everyone chatted about these things in private, but it was never a topic we openly shared as a group. Yes. I knew it. So, who was your first kiss? She pressed eagerly. Huh? I blinked, caught off guard. Don't pretend you don't know. Any red-blooded, unattached woman would be foolish not to accept whatever attention came her way. And you're beautiful, everyone's noticed. So, tell me. Who was your first kiss? I hesitated, then whispered, Jason. I covered my face, feeling a blush creeping up. I wasn't sure why I felt embarrassed to admit it. It was a sweet memory, and everyone was around when it happened. But just that one time, during a game of spin the bottle. It's not really something we talk about. She raised an eyebrow. What about Tommy? He doesn't seem like the kind to stop at just kissing. But somehow, I don't think you slept with him. I shook my head in denial. She grinned mischievously, like a Cheshire cat. Yes. So, how far did it go? Are you some kind of mind reader? I asked, sitting back as she simply stared at me, waiting expectantly. That alpha confidence was unmistakable, she was used to getting her way. I sighed and finally gave in. Far enough. Look, the guys and I don't really discuss this stuff. I don't know how much Jer's been told, and I don't want things to get weird between us if he finds out by accident. Or worse, a fight. He's fiercely protective, if you haven't noticed. I glanced at her again, and she just lifted an eyebrow, silently urging me to continue. Her patience was maddening. Fine. It was during a game of 7 minutes in heaven, and honestly, it didn't mean anything. I looked down at my lap, twisting my fingers nervously. Oh, but it did. Just look at your face. How many times did he make you come? He strikes me as the kind of guy who'd go for more than once. Was that your first time ever? She teased. This is seriously weird, I muttered, rubbing my hands over my face. She nudged me playfully, nearly making me fall off the bed. How many times? Her grin was infectious. I could see why Jeremiah adored her, even without the mate bond. Twice, I admitted softly. In 7 minutes? With what? She asked, eyes wide. Just his hand, I shrugged, surrendering to her curiosity. She was clearly going to pry until I spilled everything, and honestly, it was nice to have someone to talk to. It was also my first time with someone other than myself. And yes, I did have sex with Ben. I didn't want to give my V card to just anyone, I wanted to understand how it all worked. He was gentle and patient. He's not a small guy, either. And again, I don't know if Ja knows. He probably does, but it's not something I discuss. That's so hot. She rubbed her hands together excitedly. Not nearly as hot as what I walked into downstairs a little while ago. Did he forget other people live here? Or is that a mate bond thing, where suddenly you get horny and have to have sex right where you are? I was half joking, but she blushed fiercely. Maybe a bit of both. I didn't know you lived here, and his parents are still at the meeting, they won't be back until morning, so I didn't see a problem. Plus, it's hard to keep my hands to myself around him. You've seen him, right? Do you really talk to him every day? She was blushing but sounded skeptical. Yeah, we have for as long as I can remember. Always checking in before school and before bed, well, even before that. Now we go to the same school and I train with them, so I'm with almost all the guys every day. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door. Knock, knock. Is it safe? I'd like to be able to have kids someday, Ken. My best friend stood in the doorway, waiting for my permission to enter. We're fine, Ja. We just had to fill in some gaps you missed because you're a moron and let your dick take over your brain, I teased. He chuckled and stepped inside, carrying 2 mugs. He set them down on the side table and climbed onto my bed behind Raina. I brought tea. Thought it might help. We have an early start tomorrow, so we all need to get some rest. He couldn't keep his hands off her either, and it was adorable watching him wrap her up in a protective embrace. Her dark hair framed her heart-shaped face, contrasting beautifully with his light blonde locks. She leaned back into him, completely relaxed. What's happening tomorrow? I asked, confused, reaching for the tea. It was a special blend our healer had made after I told her I was still haunted by nightmares and nothing else was working. We're traveling to my pack so Jeremiah can meet my brother. He's the alpha, but he had to deal with another urgent matter, so my dad and I went to the meeting instead. I'm glad you did, he murmured, nuzzling her neck. I could hear the soft purr of his wolf. Okay, please don't have sex in my room. You have your own space for extracurricular activities. Ja, I smacked his leg, thanks for the tea. I should be good. Did the guys leave already? I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. I was trying to hurry them out. As cute as it was, I'd heard that new mates escalate quickly from light touches to full-on sex, and I didn't want to witness that, no matter how adorable my best friend and his new mate were. Nah, they're all in the media room. We figured it'd be easier if everyone left from here in the morning. Why does everyone have to go? I asked, still trying to grasp the finer points of pack politics. The thought of them all being gone made my chest tighten. We're all going, including you. When an alpha travels for more than a couple of days, usually his team goes too, as long as someone is here to run the pack. Beta Daniel is still here, and my parents will be back tomorrow. What does any of that have to do with me? I'm sure Raina would like another female along. Traveling with all males all the time can't be much fun. Besides, you're one of my warriors and my best friend, I want you there when I meet Raina's brother. Is that code for you're afraid of my brother? Raina laughed. Yes, Luna, he growled playfully in her ear. No sass from you. She's always the buffer when there's too much testosterone in the room. Kennedy's actually been to several meetings with me. She's great at small talk and remembers everything. Very handy. Plus, she's beautiful and usually draws attention fast. Your brother has the biggest pack territory and is one of the most notoriously dangerous alphas. Not to mention, I'm about to take his sister away. I need all the help I can get. I ignored his sly jab and asked, wait, what pack are you from? Dark Moon. My eyebrows shot up. Even I had heard of them. I couldn't recall the alpha's name, but the stories painted him as ruthless. He took over weak packs and eliminated alphas like I turn in school assignments. Relax, he's not that scary. Maybe not to you, he loves you. But to the rest of the world, he's intimidating. If the situation was reversed and someone told me they were Kennedy's mate and she was packing up to leave today, I'd probably try to beat the crap out of them. Mate bond or not. I laughed with Raina, then stopped and stared at Jeremiah. A thought struck me. Is that why no one here tries to date me? Because you told them you'd beat the crap out of them? No, not exactly. But pretty close? We may have hinted that you can handle yourself and we'd take care of whatever's left. Good to know there's a we to yell at, I said, glancing at Raina. How far is the drive to your pack? Deepening the calm. Wait, that wasn't familiar. Who else was with me? No one else could see me like this. It was bad enough Ben had been subjected to it. Part of my mind tried to stay logical, but everything felt foggy and slow. Okay. I slurred. Be okay. Go bed. Why does she sound drunk this time? She's never sounded like that before, I heard Ben say. Just tired, Ben. Back to sleep, I mumbled, unable to move but feeling myself collapse backward. I thought I felt arms trying to hold me. Kennedy, wake up for us, please. Just for a few minutes, then you can sleep. That soft voice again. Someone brushed hair from my face. The floral scent was really nice. The hands were gentle, like my mom's. Nice hands, I mumbled. My brain was working, but everything felt disjointed and confusing. I tried to blink, and I felt something moving. There was a tightness around my arms, but it didn't hurt. I breathed in again, it seemed the only thing I could control. A squeeze on my hands, and finally, my eyes opened wide. I'm beyond fed up with these endless meetings, yet I can't bring myself to complain aloud. After all, this whole idea was mine to begin with. Still, I hadn't anticipated just how whiny and entitled these former alphas and betas would be. Every time we gather, their behavior only seems to deteriorate further. No wonder so many of them couldn't keep their packs intact. Right now, I should be preparing for the ceremony to welcome the new alphas. I don't envy those 3 young men stepping into the role. Some of the older, arrogant bastards love to flex their power, trying to intimidate these newcomers into submission and warning them not to rock the boat. Wet sand, my body was limp, and I couldn't control my muscles. Kennedy, we're here. You're safe now. Stop fighting, a calm voice soothed me. The familiar scent of sandalwood drifted in. Jeremiah never even allowed a seat on the Elders' Council. It's been a couple of years since we last had new alphas come of age. I'm not the most recent, but I'm close. I'm a bit of an exception to the usual path. My father was badly wounded in a massive war, and despite his alpha heritage and healing abilities, he never fully recovered. So, at 16, he named me Alpha. I can hardly believe it's been 10 years already. I understand exactly how these young alphas feel, which is why I try to serve as a buffer for them. I've earned a reputation as an asshole, and I wear that label like a badge of honor, especially when dealing with egotistical pricks who have long overstayed their welcome. Some of the other alphas fear me, or more accurately, my reputation, which I use to my advantage. I usually keep quiet and let my actions speak for me, but some of these kids desperately need help standing up straight. Alpha Riker? Will you help us? The voice in front of me pulls me from my thoughts. It's Alpha Edward. His pack is small, and he has no heir. His Luna died giving birth, and he never found another mate, chosen or second chance. This has been inevitable. Edward and I have been negotiating the future of his pack for some time now, but a threat looms from within. Some pack members believe they should be able to challenge him for leadership. His warriors have brought me rumors from neighboring packs with similar ambitions. Edward is growing weaker and more vulnerable. He's held on as long as he can, but he can't risk his pack any longer. Normally, I wouldn't interfere. I'd let the pack thin itself out before stepping in. But these neighboring packs aren't known for settling matters peacefully. They're more likely to use this as an excuse to kill indiscriminately, innocent or not. That means women and children could be caught in the crossfire, or worse. The conflict wouldn't stop there, it would spill over into the territories surrounding Alpha Edward's pack. That's where I come in. If Edward willingly hands over his pack to me, then the bloodshed will be minimal, if any at all. There's always one person who thinks they deserve to be in charge and tries to challenge me. It's rarely one of the ranked leaders, though. Those guys usually support the transfer because we negotiate for months before any transition like this happens. They ensure their pack is cared for, and I guarantee their future leaders have a place within my ranks. It makes no sense to cut off a future beta just because their pack merged with another and the position is already filled. As long as those ranked members respect the hierarchy, they keep their titles. I've had to make examples of what happens when they don't fall in line. Yes, of course, Alpha Edward. When do you need me to take over your pack? I thought the challengers were being dealt with. Edward's expression tightens. I think they've just been waiting for me to weaken enough to stop them. I got reports of aggression after I left today. Both my beta and gamma have young families. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I'm afraid they'll target anyone loyal to me, or to you. We need to transfer immediately. I have a bad feeling about this. Don't worry. I already have warriors embedded in your pack who will protect your people until I arrive. Still, I think you should stay close to me, just as a precaution. We'll leave first thing tomorrow and should reach your pack by mid-afternoon. Have your beta prepare the ceremony so we can proceed as soon as possible. Thank you, Riker. His voice is heavy with exhaustion. I can tell he's been holding on until he knew his pack would be safe. I'm honestly surprised he's lasted this long after losing his mate. Many don't survive that kind of loss. The pain is said to be the worst torture imaginable. Some die from broken hearts, others lose their minds and must be put down for everyone's safety. I've had to eliminate many alphas for exactly that reason. That's partly why alphas are fiercely protective of their lunas, and why I'm sometimes relieved I haven't found mine yet. My wolf grumbles in my mind whenever I think about it. An alpha reaches his full strength only when his fated luna stands beside him. He'd burn the world down for her, and anyone who dared to capture or harm her would hold an unthinkable power over him. There's nothing we wouldn't sacrifice to save her, including anyone or anything else. I once ripped a man's arms off just for having the audacity to touch my little sister after she said no. I'd probably do far worse to anyone who even glanced at my mate. The very thought of that kind of possession tightens my chest and terrifies me. I don't want anyone to ever have that kind of control over me. I spent time speaking with each former alpha or beta present. Some of the packs I absorbed came with bloody histories, and not all the leadership survived. With so many pack members, I rely on strong leadership to maintain order. That's why I hold these monthly meetings with all territories, to ensure needs are met and to gauge whether leaders are doing their jobs. Most of my intelligence comes from warriors I've planted throughout the territories. I make a point of showing up regularly to remind everyone who's in charge. It might seem silly, but it's necessary. We rotate the meeting locations across my pack lands so everyone knows I treat them equally. It's all just a game of egos and power plays. Speaking of which, it's about time, Alpha Riker. Some of us have pressing matters, and you're wasting time chatting with washed-up alphas who aren't worth your attention. The voice cuts through the room. Hello, Claude. What pressing matter do you have this time? I deliberately omit his title, and I see him bristle. He no longer holds it, because I took it from him. Former Alpha Claude Craig is the biggest pain I've ever had to deal with. Yet he insists on being called by a title he lost long ago. Neither I nor my men ever use it. There are plenty of alphas here clinging to their past glories. Claude isn't unique. I choose to overlook his attitude and focus on more important battles. Early in my reign as Alpha of the Dark Moon Pack, he tried to challenge me, thinking it would be easy to overthrow my father's prominent pack just because I was young. He underestimated me and my skills. He also didn't realize that my style of leadership would appeal to the pack I absorbed from him. Many willingly pledged loyalty to me. Unfortunately, I was young and naive enough to believe that beating him meant he'd submit completely. In theory, he did, but he negotiated to keep a small amount of control and surrounded himself with enough minions to remain a nuisance. He's mostly harmless now, but I never take that for granted. I have someone planted in his ranks too. I've already been briefed on the nonsense he planned to bring up. He's not foolish enough to openly challenge me again, but he toes the line, and I have to remind him regularly who really runs things. I tune out his chatter as he leads us to a table with a large map spread across it. I don't need to listen closely, I'm not about to agree to expand his territory. He seems to believe that more land will make his pack members, my pack members, feel more comfortable. What he really wants is to broaden his influence and start taking over neighboring territories before I do. What he doesn't realize is that his borders are completely surrounded on all sides by territories loyal to me. That wasn't an accident. He'd be a fool if he doesn't know that. I think a school and training facility would work best right here. He points to a spot miles outside his current borders. He wants me to grant him more land and fund the construction so he can benefit from it. He must still think I'm some naive 16-year-old kid. He's already abused every bit of leadership I've given him. I'll discuss it with Don and see what he thinks about sharing a school and training facility, especially since that land is well beyond your borders. I'd shift the location somewhat and invite Nathan and Rory to participate, since it would be near their residential areas as well. We'll also need a small healers center there, so trainees won't have to travel far for emergency care. He just stares at me, mouth agape like a stunned fish. With 4 leaders overseeing those facilities, cooperation is essential, and none of those 3 will be swayed by his nonsense. He should have thought twice before bringing this proposal to me. If you'll excuse me, I have another meeting to attend. Make sure you get your proposal in writing to Robin as soon as possible. I'll inform you of the decision by the end of the week. I leave him standing there, dumbfounded, as I walk away. Now, I need to focus on Edward's transfer and then make it to the Elders' Council meeting. My sister and father are attending in my place, and I trust them to hold off the assholes for me. But I hate the idea of my sister being alone with unmated alphas. She's 20 and hasn't found her mate yet. Last year, older alphas began eyeing her as a potential chosen or second-chance mate because of her alpha bloodline. I shut that down immediately, but that won't stop them from trying when I'm not around. She needs protection from that bullshit at all times. I'm barely conscious, but I can feel Jeremiah's strong arms wrapped around me, his broad chest rising and falling beneath my head as it rests against him. Each breath he takes is steady, each squeeze of his hand reassuring. Glancing to my side, I notice Raina sitting close to Jeremiah, her eyes filled with sympathy as she watches me. The sting of tears begins to prick behind my eyelids. I try desperately to blink them away, but it's futile. They slip down my cheeks in slow, reluctant streams. I clamp my eyes shut, attempting to hold back the flood. Hey, don't fight it, Raina's voice is gentle, almost a soft melody in the quiet room. Let yourself feel the sadness. It'll help you heal. Her words soothe me, and I finally surrender, allowing the tears to fall freely. It doesn't make it any less humiliating, I admit, my voice trembling as I sniffle and pull my hands away from hers, rubbing them across my face in a futile attempt to dry the tears. Just then, Ben appears at the foot of my bed, bringing a sliver of comfort. That makes sense, he says, stepping closer. What happened this time? Was your dream different? You actually yelled out for all of us. He gestures, and I see Tommy and Jason standing behind him. You've never done that before. I blink, unsure how to answer. I don't know. I don't really remember, I lie, closing my eyes briefly. But the haunting image of their lifeless eyes and bloodied bodies lingers behind my eyelids, refusing to fade. I open them again, voice barely above a whisper. Are you sure you want me coming on this trip? I can't imagine your in-laws would appreciate you bursting into my room in the middle of the night. I'm a liability no one wants around. Realizing I'm still curled up in Jeremiah's lap, with his mate sitting right beside us, I pull away and shift to sit next to him instead, hugging my knees to my chest as a pounding headache begins to throb behind my eyes. "Mom's gone," Jeremiah says firmly, his voice steady. "There's absolutely no question, you need to be with me." I stare at him for a moment, disbelief flickering across my face. I roll my eyes but don't argue. Instead, I push myself off the bed. "Where are you going?" he asks, springing up beside me. "Bathroom," I reply, trying to sound annoyed but only managing a tone of quiet defeat. I don't wait for his response. I take longer than necessary, lingering in the bathroom to wipe the tear stains from my face and try to calm the storm inside me. Every blink brings the horrific vision back, the shattered car, their broken bodies, the blood. When I finally return, they're all still there. I roll my eyes again and head to grab some workout clothes. "What are you doing now?" Ben's voice carries concern this time. I'm wide awake, I admit. There's no way I'm falling back asleep. I'm going down to the Alpha's gym. I promise I won't leave the pack house. It's the middle of the night, go get some rest, you guys. We've got a long drive tomorrow. I'll probably catch some sleep in the car. I don't wait for any protests. Apparently, the only cure for these nightmares is a grueling 3-hour workout. By the time I finally come back upstairs, it's 6 in the morning, and my stomach is growling loudly enough to demand attention. The dreams are getting worse, I confess quietly as I stand at the kitchen island, spooning yogurt and fruit into my mouth. Jeremiah approaches from behind, wrapping his arms around my shoulders in a comforting embrace. What's strange is that the dreams are more fragmented now, choppier, harder to remember, but the emotions they stir up are stronger than ever, I say, my voice low. I have no clue what's going on, only that everything changed when we turned 18, some things becoming less clear, others intensifying. I keep these thoughts to myself around Jeremiah. He'd probably chalk it up to some wolf-related phenomenon. He's done that before when odd things happened to us as kids. We have this uncanny ability to read each other's thoughts and call each other out without hesitation. Over time, I learned that as long as I don't lie outright, I can keep some things private. Maybe he's learned I need space sometimes and chooses not to pry. After all, I'm human. There's no magical link between my quirks and their werewolf abilities, and for some reason, I constantly find myself having to explain that to my supernatural friend. We do have a secret way to communicate without using the pack's telepathic link, sign language. Aunt Beth started teaching me when I was little, after discovering the telepathy stuff. I was jealous that she and Uncle James could talk to pack members mentally, and that Jeremiah and the others would eventually have the same gift. Learning sign language was my way of belonging. Jeremiah and I still use signs, especially at school, where kids can be cruel to anyone they see as different. And I'm definitely at the bottom of their list. But with our silent language, I have a shield, a way to connect without words, without judgment. "We're leaving in an hour," Jess said, his voice calm but firm. "Make sure you've packed enough for a whole week, and don't forget to bring some nice outfits. I'm expecting a few parties and dinners while we're there." He leaned down and pressed a gentle kiss to the top of my head. I simply nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and nerves as I made my way upstairs. When I entered my room, Raina was already there, rifling through my closet like we'd been best friends forever. It amazed me how quickly her attitude toward me had shifted, almost overnight. The moment she overheard me say I wasn't attracted to Ja, it was like a switch flipped inside her. She must have some kind of sixth sense for detecting lies. I knew Uncle James had it too, some wild alpha blood trait or something. "Looking for anything specific?" I teased, making her jump a little. She must have been so focused on sorting through my clothes that she didn't hear me approach. "Wolves really do have ears everywhere." She grinned and winked. "Just you." I blinked, caught off guard. "Have you told him yet?" "Tell who what?" The way she asked made me uneasy, her questions were always so cryptic. Raina smiled knowingly. "Have you told Jeremiah that you're dealing with separation anxiety?" I frowned. I'm not having separation anxiety. She raised an eyebrow. Your nightmares got worse after you turned 18, right? Yeah, I guess. But I'm human. Why would I be feeling separation anxiety over my best friend? No clue, she said, shrugging. But it's interesting how much you keep reminding everyone, yourself included, that you're human. Yet you train and fight like a wolf, eat like one, and your temper? Definitely wolf-like. She gave me a challenging look, daring me to disagree. You react to scents like a wolf, and changes in your pack affect you deeply. You're more connected than you realize. I hadn't really thought about it that way before. I've been around the pack my entire life, after all. I shrugged and stepped closer. Well, while you're busy sharing your theories, I should probably get in the shower and start packing. Any ideas on what I absolutely need to bring? Jim mentioned parties and dinners, so I want to be prepared. Raina had a blast helping me sort through my wardrobe, and we discovered we were the same size, which made packing a breeze. She promised I could borrow anything I forgot once we arrived. After everything was stowed away, we piled into one of the Alpha's 7-passenger SUVs. 2 more warriors followed behind us in Raina's white SUV. Jason sat beside me in the back seat. He was like a giant teddy bear, always warm and comforting, but unlike Tommy, he knew how to keep his hands to himself. I pulled one of Jeremiah's oversized hoodies over my head, wrapping myself in its familiar scent, and settled back, hoping to catch a few moments of rest before the journey ahead. This is all for today. We are ending on chapter 10. If you would like to hear more of this story, please like and comment so I know you want a part 2.